Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Noose with Tim Lynch. I'm Tim Lynch. Still. It has been a bit since our last episode. I do apologize for that. The usual suspects are involved. Work, family, fun, vacation, all good stuff. But we're back and timely too, right? I won't go into too much of an introduction. I'm just going to start telling you we're going to start talking about the attempted assassination on Donald J. Trump. I'm not going to show you the video. I'm sure everyone's seen it a bazillion times. It's just going to take up space. So I'm assuming you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, just Google it, and there's a million versions of it. What I do want to talk about is what came before the attempt and what came after the attempt. I think we all kind of know what came before the attempt. The left hates Donald Trump. This reminds me, one of the beauties of taking a little time to get a show out, this is the silver linings here, is more stuff comes out and you can put more stuff into the show. This is actually late breaking stuff here. Not really. But there's a quote that's been going around social media. I've seen this posted on a couple different places in social media. And it's from a woman named Hannah Arendt, who was a German historian and philosopher who lived from 1906 to 1975. I don't know when this quote was made, but I will read it to you as you read along. This constant lying is not aimed at making the people believe a lie, but ensuring that no one believes anything anymore. A people that can no longer distinguish between truth and lies cannot distinguish between right and wrong. And such a people, deprived of the power to think and judge, is, without knowing and willing it, completely subjected to the rule of lies. With such a people, you can do whatever you want. And most everyone said, oh, nailed it, you got it, right on, awesome. And even I said, oh, yep, sounds good. Let me just read it again to make sure I understood it. And when you read it again, it's like, well, it sounds like a philosopher. I don't really know what was said. So let's break it down, as I love to do. So first sentence, this constant lying is not aimed at making the people believe a lie, but ensuring that no one believes anything anymore. Sounds smart, maybe even a bit prophetic, but really doesn't even pass the sniff test, right? The point of lying is for someone to believe the lie. I will agree. If both sides are lying, then you don't believe anything anymore. That can be the outcome, but that is not the aim. The aim is for people to believe your crap. So already off to a strange start. Okay, so people that can no longer distinguish between truth and lies cannot distinguish between right and wrong. Again, they're not saying we can't distinguish between truth and lies. Sometimes we don't know what the full story is, and I think people are waking up a lot to that. But we still know what right and wrong is. Okay, and lastly, such a people deprived of the power to think and judge is, without knowing and willing it, completely subjected to the rule of lies. With such a people, you can do whatever you want. So if you don't believe anything, they're telling you you're subject to the rule of lies. I think the opposite is true. If you believe the lies, you're subject to the rule of lies. If you don't believe it, you're not subject to anyone but yourself, which is good. With such a people, you can do whatever you want. I think the opposite is true. I don't know who she is. I really have no idea. All I've seen is this statement and this picture and this description of her as a historian and a philosopher, but is she one of the liars? I don't know. Believe it or not, that is not the point of me bringing this up, by the way. The point of me bringing this up is when someone had posted this on Facebook, I commented a little bit about my dislike of the quote. And I started to get into a discussion with a Facebook friend of a personal friend on Facebook. And initially the back and forth was, pretty, it was congenial, certainly. And it wasn't even political one way or the other, just as that quote is not political one way or the other. But then it quickly devolved into how much hatred Donald J. Not for me, by the way. This other person said how much hatred Donald J. Trump has brought to this country. In fact, this person said he unleashed a hate in our country not seen since the Civil War. Now, you know what I think. Human nature doesn't change. Human nature hasn't changed in thousands and thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands, whatever. Since humans have been around, humans have always been the same. So I don't think he's done anything new since the Civil War. But then I think, because I break stuff down, has not unleashed hate in our country, not seen since, or sorry, has unleashed hate in our country, not seen since the Civil War. Wasn't the Civil War good? I mean, I'm not saying the Civil War, I'm not saying war is good, but the Civil War, the outcome was awesome, right? We had the Union, we freed slaves. That was pretty good. So this is where I'm kind of bringing it around is this hatred for Donald Trump. What was very funny, by the way, is how much this guy attributed hate that Donald Trump caused. And just for shits and giggles, I went to his Facebook site, which fortunately I could see, and I went through. Donald Trump lives rent-free in this guy's head. It is just one post after another about how evil Donald Trump is, how much he hates him, political cartoons mocking him. Just one thing, I'm like, good God, man, can you just post a picture of a dinner you ate at some point? I think he did at some point, but literally the first 10 things are just all Donald Trump. And I think, and I just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I think like 80% is Donald Trump. So who's bringing the hate? And this is the point that I'm trying to make. The left is bringing the hate. And this brings me back to what I want to discuss, what happened before the assassination attempt. And how really, I want to be careful here because, in my opinion, the person who bears responsibility for the attempted assassination of Donald Trump was the guy or girl, I don't know what the pronouns are on that one, who pulled the trigger. And anyone else who helped him pull the trigger. If there was someone else, I don't know. Again, not the point of this. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. There's been no press conference. No one's discussing anything. That's an aside. But there's a lot of rhetoric that goes around. I'm not one of those people that says, well, they've got blood on their hands. For example, I think it was the day before, but certainly very soon before the attempted assassination attempt, Joe Biden said, we need to put a target on Trump. I don't think Joe Biden was saying we need to kill Donald Trump. I really don't. I really think he's just saying, look, we need to pay attention to him. We need to focus on him. That was all he was saying. But let's go back and look at the left and what they think of Donald Trump, and the utter hatred, the expression of this hatred, the way the left proselytizes the hatred and anger and caricaturization of Trump to making him into such an evil entity. And that's what they do. Again, I don't have a problem with rhetoric. I don't have a problem with exaggeration, caricaturization. Someone gets a caricature, they have a big nose, you make it bigger. They're overweight, you make them downright fat. If you could do a caricature of a Republican, they'll probably sit there with their guns and ammo and a Bible. If you do a caricature of a liberal, you probably have a pot-smoking hippie putting a flower in a gun or a tank. That's fine, right? That's just exaggeration. But what the left does is invent. They create. They don't expand. You know what? Let's go to a video. I'm going to show you a video of Jon Stewart talking to Bakari Sellers. Now, Bakari Sellers is a journalist from CNN, and in the video, they're talking about Biden's decline. But then all of a sudden, it gets to the point that whatever about Biden, it doesn't matter. Trump is a monster. And it becomes a bit cringy. Watch the video.
If you look at his performance in 2020 versus his performance in 2024, there is inexorable decline.
Yes.
It's just,
No,
it's undeniable. So what I don't understand is, okay, fine, he stays, but deal with it head on. Stop pretending. Stop gaslighting. Like,
that's fine. Deal with it head on. That's fine.
Right.
But I don't want to silence the debate. I think it's fine. I think it's healthy. Talk about it. Don't gaslight folk. That's fine.
Okay.
Like,
All
I'm
right.
cool with that.
Oh, we're
But
good.
I'm also saying that there is a monster that is November 4th, 5th, 6th,
Yeah,
whenever
we
the election
agree. I know.
We're getting our asses kicked by the monster.
That's what we're worried about. We're worried about the monster.
Okay. Now you may say, that's not, he calls him a monster. That's not a big deal. So what? And I agree that video is not that big a deal. Again, cringy for sure. But that's the appetizer. What's the main course? What have we been hearing about for years? Trump is Hitler. So I think that the New Republic put this cover up of a visual mashup of Trump and Hitler about 6 or 7 days before the assassination attempt. By the way, is Trump Hitler? Well, let's think about it. Did Trump commit genocide? Or try to, at least? No. Did he disarm his populace? Or at least certain segments of his populace? No. Did he invade other countries? No. In fact, a lot of countries had less invasions under him, right? Russia wasn't taking over Crimea or Ukraine under him. Those were under different presidents. Is he a socialist? God, no. Does he hate the Jews? A lot of people actually say that he does, but no. I mean, when you put the ambassadorship into Jerusalem, that's very pro-Israel. He has children that are Jewish. So yeah, no, he's not. Hitler does sound a bit like a Democrat, though. I will say that. Okay, but what's the point? What's the point of the left calling Trump a monster or calling him Hitler? It's what they do. It's literally their rule book. The Rules for Radicals, right? So that was a book written by Saul Alinsky, I think in the 60s. And I'm not going to go through everything. Obviously, it's a book, but there's a certain segment of rules that radicals, leftists, progressive have to follow, not have to, do follow, it's their playbook, to affect their change. And rule number 5, by the way, is, quote, ridicule is man's most potent weapon. There is no defense. It is almost impossible to counterattack ridicule. Also, it infuriates the opposition who then react to your advantage. End quote. Well, there you go. Ridicule. By the way, rule number 13, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. So, by the way, outside the scope of this episode, if you go through those rules, none of the rules involve proving your point using facts, logic, objective evidence, or a philosophical analysis that shows your way is superior. So they're following the rules. They're trying to ridicule, personalize any created faults. By the way, not the policies, not the ideas, all in an effort to make people hate him and vote against him. Oh, by the way, don't forget rule number 9. The threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Well, they're falling for it. And it works. I mean, you'll see this a lot, but it works. And one of the best single examples I think that I see of this just utter hatred for Donald Trump comes from Robert De Niro, which is so sad. And I'm going to show you a video because I do that. And this video, by the way, is one example. I have seen video after video after video of De Niro talking about Trump, and he absolutely hates him, which is fine. But he never says why. He never talks about judgment calls or policies or anything. He just says how bad he is with nothing. It's just ridiculous. It's like a third grade girl talking about someone. But here, Watch the video. This is Bill Maher asking Robert De Niro why he thinks that Trump is gaining popularity, why he's, making strides in the black community, why even some women are looking at voting for him. By the way, De Niro doesn't answer that. He just says how much he hates him. And while you watch this, just watch about how sad De Niro looks. Just an angry old man. Just says nothing. Anyway, go ahead and watch.
The bottom line is it's Biden versus Trump. We want to live in a world that we want to live in and enjoy living in, or live in a nightmare. Vote for Trump and you'll get the nightmare. Vote for Biden and we'll be back to normalcy.
Yeah. So why is Trump winning? I mean, the New York Times poll this week came out, and maybe this will change it with the State of the Union address, but Trump was beating him rather soundly. It was quite a warning light, 48 to 43, also winning way more among women than he had before, winning outright Latinos. What do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I just don't want to feel the way I did, and many of us don't, after the election in 2016, where we couldn't believe that it happened. The guy is a total monster. And anybody, I don't understand it. I guess they get behind that kind of logic. They want to fuck with people, screw them, because they're unhappy about something. He's such a mean, nasty, hateful person. I never play him as an actor, because I can't see any good in him. Nothing at all. Nothing redeemable in him. And we have to, and whoever the people are who want to vote for him, and there look like intelligent people around there. Somebody, for some reason, it can't be. It cannot be. If he wins the election, you won't be on the show anymore. He'll come looking for me. There'll be things that happen that none of us can imagine. That's what happens in that kind of a dictatorship, which is what he says. Let's believe him. Take him at his word.
I did from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I said from the very beginning, this guy is never going to concede power, and he still hasn't.
No.
He still hasn't admitted he lost the last election, and he advertises that he will go on. He says he's been cheated out of one term, so maybe we should get rid of the a president only gets 2 terms thing. So
he's a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist. He is a dangerous person. And we have to realize, a lot of people, this audience, but the people who somehow think he's going to be the answer to their prayers, whatever those are.
Did you know
God
him
knows.
when, as fellow New Yorkers?
Never wanted to know him.
Never wanted to?
No.
You must have
He
crossed.
was an idiot. He was a clown. He was a clown in New York. And New Yorkers say, some would go with him, of course, people who work in what he does, some of them. But it's just, he's a classic bully. If you had a schoolyard and he walked in and he had his bully friends around, the other people decide whether they want to oppose him or they want to let him just tell him what to do and own the schoolyard or the basketball court or whatever it is. He's got to be stopped.
So there you go. He's a monster. He's a bully. He's a dictator. He has to be stopped, or he must be stopped, or whatever he said. Now, you're probably thinking, after kind of going through those things, and I'm sure your own experiences as well with friends online, what have you, oh my God, the left is horrible. But again, this rhetoric happens on both sides. And again, rhetoric alone does not make someone pull a trigger or shouldn't be responsible, right? So no matter how much you say you hate Trump or he's a monster or he's Hitler and draw all these analogies and there's a target on him, that doesn't mean you have blood on your hands. The person that has blood on his hands also has his brains on a roof, or had brains on a roof. I think it's been cleaned up. And as a point of fact, one of my friends that I was speaking with after this attempt said, well, this is not just from the left. The right has their rhetoric too. And he sent me, I think it was a Twitter post that was talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a very conservative Republican. And it summed up numerous tweets she had and how her rhetoric was hot-tempered and was really inappropriate for the time. And I will say, I do think it was inappropriate for the time. The assassination attempt just took place. I think we need to have very calm, objective things. So I agree, it was a little out of bounds. But I do want to also go through hers and kind of show you a little difference. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, in a series of incendiary posts on X, formerly Twitter, vowed to, quote, fight for this country, end quote. That's great, by the way. Everyone on both sides should be fighting for this country. And slammed people on the left as sick and evil. Well, see, Tim, they're sick and evil. They're Hitler and monster. What's the difference? Fair point. Let's go on. She said, we are in a battle between good and evil. The Democratic Party is the party of violence and flat out evil. See? No different. I don't know why you're picking on the left. Let's keep going. By the way, this was sent to me by someone from the left. The Democrats are the party of pedophiles, murdering the innocent unborn, violence, and bloody, meaningless, endless wars. They want to lock up their political opponents and terrorize innocent Americans who would tell the truth about it. The Democratic Party is flat out evil, and yesterday they tried to murder President Trump. Well, so a couple things. Number one, I don't think the party tried to murder Donald Trump. I think one person, again, maybe others. I reserve the right to change my mind. But let's go through. So she said a bunch of incendiary things. She called them people evil. That was really kind of the only thing. Everything else had pretty objective comments to back it up, right? So they're the party of pedophiles. Yeah. That's not just saying evil or monster or dictator. They are literally the party of pedophiles, right? California has been changing laws to help pedophiles, decreasing statutory rape charges from felonies to misdemeanors. They're trying to put pornography in grammar school books. They've got transgender whatever's reading to little toddlers in libraries. They're grooming the hell out of these kids. And I won't even get into the puberty blockers and sex change operations in children. So yeah, they are the party of pedophiles. Clearly, she is against abortion, right? Murdering the innocent unborn. You may not think they're innocent. I think everyone agrees they're unborn. Again, whether you agree or disagree with her, she's bringing up facts. I will say I don't think wars are limited to the left. I think the right can do that just as well. Thank you very much. That being said, Trump's been the most peaceful president in decades. They do want to lock up their political opponents, right? They're dying to lock up Trump. They've tried to do that. They've certainly locked up Trump's associates, election protesters who were entrapped. I mean, ridiculous. So yeah, that's that. She's bringing up evidence. So hyperbole, hot-tempered, sure, but at least she's backing it up. Okay, so if I'm telling you, well, both sides are speaking of hyperbole and rhetoric, what's the point, right? They're both doing it. Why am I focusing this on the left? Well, the proof's in the pudding, right? Because there's one thing to talk about rhetoric and get all heated up and have, fun conversations on social media and even get angry at people. But the follow-up is, what does the left do for it or do with it? They rev people up. And then they call for the violence. Before I started preparing this episode, I started getting video examples of the left calling for violence and being violent. But fortunately, I have libs of TikTok on X. Well, actually, I guess they're on TikTok, but I got the video from X that shows a montage of all these calls for violence. So I'm going to show you this now so you can see it's not just hyperbole. It's calls for violence.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Okay, so there you go. So, by the way, that video was not just some random dude in Alabama or some person in with their gun in Missouri. These were high-level people. This is the president, the vice president, journalists, movie stars, famous musicians. These were not some random people just calling for punching, kicking, choking, rioting, assassination. So yeah. So when you have a group of people that heats everyone up and then they call for violence, something's going to happen. Which brings me to one of my favorite questions in grammar school. Would you kill baby Hitler? So you're in 4th and 5th grade, and you think you know everything because now you know how commas are starting to work. And you think, would I kill baby Hitler? Oh, but it's just a baby. But I'm advanced. I'm in 4th grade. I know that baby will grow up and start murdering millions of people. So yes, I would kill baby Hitler. So now bring it all. You've got rhetoric that inflames people. You've got direct calls for violence. You've got a history of wanting to do everything you can to kill Hitler. And now they're saying, there's Hitler. He's right over there. And I get it. The vast majority of the people aren't going to murder someone. But there are people who will, obviously. So imagine you're that shooter and Trump's going to destroy democracy. He's Hitler. He's clearly a monster. This is what all the main popular smart people are telling me. I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to take him out. Well, there you go. That's going to happen. By the way, one thing that's also different is it's not just that they're calling Trump bad. They're calling anyone who likes Trump bad and evil as well. And I will just show you one video of President Joe Biden. By the way, as of this filming, he's still president. I mean, I know he's never really been the president, but he's still technically president. talking about the MAGA supporters. You know, you've seen them talk about maggots and all these things. I'm going to show you the video of him not talking about Trump, but just talking about the people who like him. So watch this.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans quote a clear and present danger to our democracy. But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. We've told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it's not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it, each and every one of us. We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else. We must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy. MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies. Lies told for profit and power. The MAGA Republicans believe that for them to succeed, everyone else has to fail.
Okay, so that's about 2 straight minutes. I get it, they're clipped, they're not all continuous, but that's 2 straight minutes of Joe Biden just berating anyone who likes Trump. So if Trump's Hitler, guess what? We must all be Nazis. And who doesn't want to kill a Nazi? So watch out, right? Because they're not just going to try to take out Trump. They're going to try to take out any Trump supporter. So be aware. All right. So now we've got the setup. We now understand why this happened. And what do we see after the assassination attempt? What do we see? Well, most immediately what we see is the news coverage. And again, when I was preparing the show, I was starting to get a bunch of different headlines together, but fortunately, one came to me kind of prepackaged. This was an Elon Musk, I think, conglomeration of headlines that he put together, and I will put them up and read them to you. This were the headlines after the assassination attempt. Trump escorted away after loud noises at Pennsylvania rally. Loud noises. Donald Trump escorted off stage by Secret Service during rally after loud noises ring out in crowd. Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after popping noises heard at his Pennsylvania rally. Oh, popping. Somebody got a thesaurus. MAGA responds with outrage after Donald Trump injured at Pennsylvania rally. No, injured is when you trip over a sandbag. Shot is when you have an attempted assassination attempt that hits you. Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startles former president, crowd. Oh, well, at least we got back to the loud noises that startled him and the crowd. By the way, he wasn't startled. At no point was he startled. By the way, at no point, and Trump talked about this, was the crowd startled. And then the last one, Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. Again, not even true. He didn't fall. He ducked for cover. By the way, he didn't stay down too long, if you remember. So what is going on? I mean, that's ridiculous. And I get it. None of them want to make Trump a hero. They're going to publish things to try to belittle Trump. But one thing that's impressive, why do all the headlines sound the same from completely different sources? Well, because they have instructions. So this was something that was published on X from DC Drano. I believe it's DC_Drano. And I'll put it up, and it says the Trump rally story. So these were instructions to the journalists about what they could and couldn't do with this story. So hello, reminder to stick to facts. Always good. They didn't do that. You know, Trump fell. Trump was startled. So they didn't stick to the facts, but that would be good instructions. Don't speculate. That's fine. Editorialize. I'm sorry. Have you ever read any article ever that wasn't editorialized? You have to have some judgment, or otherwise you're just a frickin' computer. Sensationalize. That's all they do. Or jump to conclusions when reporting on the Trump rally incident today. Well, again, saying someone was startled when he wasn't startled was a lie. And even if you thought that may have been true, you clearly jumped to a conclusion. Don't call it assassination attempt unless authorities say it is. Well, who are the authorities and why are you so beholden to them? You know, these people that claim they love freedom on the left, they do not. They love their authorities, their experts, whatever they can do to fall in line and be sheep. It's very easy not to think, by the way. Very easy to join a crowd. Don't say a shooting targeting Trump or the rally unless authorities confirm that connection. Again, the authorities have to tell you what to do. Clarify if it's actually gunshots. I believe that was very clear after the first shot. That's unclear at the moment. No, it is not. If authorities don't know, yes, they do, then it's okay to say that. Again, with the authorities. All right, anchors. Remember to be mindful of body language when presenting the story. No need for serious face. Yeah, don't take an attempted murder as serious. Or adding comments and adjectives for color. Why the hell do we watch the news? We want editorialization. We want color. We want some involvement, some, dare I say it, humanity. No need to say scary moments today at a Trump rally. Well, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't think an attempted assassination and a man dying. Don't forget, a man was murdered. 2 other people critically injured at this rally from this. That's scary. Just to get the story. At this moment, no need for guests to comment. God forbid they might bring some more information that we do not want unleashed. Again, all this is just a reminder. I know we all know. Well, there you go. So now, by the way, was this publication, were these instructions real? Probably. I mean, you remember the whole journalist fiasco, right? Is it real? I don't know. But does it follow what they did? Perfectly. But so now let's get past that. Here I'm thinking, the left is going to freak out. They're going to say, Jesus, Trump's going to be a martyr. But you know what they may say? Maybe it's probably a good thing he survived because of God. If he were actually killed, I think the MAGA movement would, in their mind, become a religion and never leave. But boy, it wasn't even that light. It got dark fast. And again, I'm going to show you some videos here. This is a video of a woman who posted this after the miss.
I think we forgot to mention when we were asking for, someone to bring back assassinating presidents like they used to, we forgot to mention that they have to have good aim. Remember, genies are tricky that way.
Well, yeah, she's not happy. Now, I know what you're thinking. I thought you don't post fringe people. You want to post normal people or high-level people. I do, so I'll show you more. While that one was a bit of a tattooed, pierced freak, I'm going to show you a woman who looks pretty normal, pretty well put together, doing a video in a car about the failed assassination attempt. So watch this.
I just found out about this shit. It just happened. I haven't even had a second to process. You're telling me somebody finally had the balls to bring a pew-pew and he missed! We were a second away! We were a centimeter away from half of the problem being gone and you missed! There was a white man attached attached to that trigger. I know it! We were a centimeter away! Ah!
Oh, she is not happy. Now, you may say, well, she looks normal, but clearly she's not. That still doesn't count. Show me something. Oh, I'll show you something. Okay. But before I do, by the way, there are so many of these videos. It just actually got ridiculous. But I'm just going to show you a mashup of a bunch because they're funny. I mean, these people are bonkers, and I just want you to watch it. If you haven't watched these, they're entertaining. So watch these.
John Wilkes Booth, if you can hear us, if you are with us, please, John Wilkes Booth, if you're listening, please.
Let me get this straight. Dumbass! You have a fully reloaded shotgun, but you chose to use a one bullet.
We're not even sending our best to fucking assassinate. Cause what the hell was that? Lee Harvey Oswald would never, bitch. John Wilkes Booth would never.
Today was like this close to being the best day ever.
Also, the person that at Trump at his rally was exercising that right that all those Republicans were fighting for. So, can you really blame him?
All right. Let's go on to more. So there's like, okay, these are just rando people. They don't count. I don't care. I want to see what people are really thinking. All right, let's get to the pillars of society, so to speak. Let's talk about Karen Pinder. Yes, her name is Karen. She is a Karen. She is a PhD of anatomy and cell biology. She's a professor of teaching. She is at the University of British Columbia, and she posted, I'll put this up, on July 13th. Damn, so close. Too bad. Someone responded to her. And by the way, that someone has, I don't know if you can tell on this video, the person responding, it has a picture of her in a mask. So that tells you a lot. Damn it, so close. And now he'll milk being a victim for more votes. I really wish the person had better aim. At which point Karen said, what a glorious day this could have been. Jesus. Again, this is not some rando person. This is a PhD. She is at the University of British Columbia. She's a professor of teaching. Well, I guess not all professors of teaching wear capes. But wait, there's more. This was a tweet, an X post from Kyle Seraphin, at Kyle Seraphin, and he was retweeting what Jenna Howell was posting. And okay, who's Jenna Howell? Well, she happens to be an FBI employee who works in the NICS Firearms Background Check Unit, and she posted her disappointment that Trump lived. By the way, this is a typical FBI support employee, and she hates gun owners. Her job is to do background checks for gun owners. So what did she post? I'll show this. She posts a picture, a cartoon of Death playing that little game in the arcades where you try to manipulate the little grabby hook thing to try to get a teddy bear, a little prize, and you almost always miss. And it shows that Death almost got Trump, but he missed. And the caption is, "Oh, so close." And Jenna Howell said, the memes are gold. And then she posted, y'all gun-toting, Second Amendment-loving hillbillies better just sit down and stay quiet unless you're going to change your mind on gun control. So, by the way, Jenna Howell of the FBI rooting for Donald Trump's death, she has top secret clearance. That's ridiculous. High-level government employees rooting for presidential assassinations. I know what you're saying. Well, he's not president. Once a president, always a president, and obviously contender and the lead runner in the next election. But let's move on. Let's look at another one, Stephen Woodrow. He is the Colorado state representative who posted this on July 13th. The last thing America needed was sympathy for the devil. But here we are. Well, now he gets both, right? He calls Trump the devil, which I'm pretty sure is the most evil thing you can be. I mean, objectively, I think that's even worse than Hitler. And he's upset that he died. This is a congressman. Again, this has been multiple days since this assassination attempt, and a lot has happened. And there are so many of these posts and videos of people wishing for his death. But I'm going to leave one other point here. And this is, again, from the libs of TikTok posting. This was a poll that Sarah Holiday had published, I guess, from the Washington Standard. This is WashingtonStand.com. By the way, I don't know who Sarah Holiday is. I don't know if she works for the Washington Standard. I don't know if she did the poll herself or is just publishing the news. So this is just, I'm just giving her credit. But the point is the poll. 1/3 of surveyed Democrats wish Trump's assassin hadn't missed. So this isn't fringe. This isn't just high level people. This is a massive amount of people that wish Trump died. Again, not 5%, not 10%. A third, 33.33. You know how it goes. Percent wish Trump was killed. That's sick. And so now I'm going to leave you with one more thing, and that's hope, because I am ever the eternal optimist. And this is a video that was posted, I believe it was a YouTube short, but I'm going to leave you with this. And this shows a woman who was a liberal who has now opened her eyes and woken up. Truly woke. And she's on to things. Things that maybe that German philosopher doesn't think she'd believe. But watch this and enjoy. Thanks for joining us. I can't wait to see you next time. I swear to God, it'll be faster. Have a good one and watch.
Amen to this.
If you could give President Trump, or if you were able to talk to President Trump tonight, what would you like him to know?
I would like to say, Mr. President, I am so sorry for believing the lies that the mainstream media has just projected on me and that I fell for and I believed. I stand by you. I love you. I thank you for what you're doing for this country, and I'm so sorry that I just took it for granted and I did not even see it. But I do see it now, and you have one more supporter standing beside you and praying for you.